Welcome back to the Media Boat Podcast, where we talk all things content creation. So whether you're shooting with an iPhone or you're using big budget cinema cameras on your film, we're here to provide you with practical knowledge to help you for the next time you press record. Today, I've got a very special guest, the young upcoming director savant. This kid has so much talent. He's doing so many things, making so many waves, owns a production space, is an avid and amazing photographer, and directs some awesome sci-fi films. None other than Shun Powell.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, dude.
I love that intro.
Yeah. You know, I had to practice it in the mirror.
Okay. Yeah. That's the best way to do it.
That's how you got to do it. Appreciate you coming out, man.
Yes, sir. Thanks for inviting me. I've been watching this, man. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, you're here, man. You're here today.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, man. It's been a minute since we linked. It was like back in my street photography days. Smoke bombs in the alley.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people done probably tried that at some point.
Smoke bombs in the house,
Yep.
Crazy people done tried that too.
Hey, be safe out there, you know what I'm saying?
Don't wild out, y'all.
Yeah, it's been a minute. So how's things going, man? How you feeling?
Feeling pretty good. Things are going great. I got my new studio space in Glendale. Right now, I'm actually looking to acquire another space. I got a chance to meet another photographer who's retiring. He's looking to pass the space along. So that's something that's possibly on my horizons. Yeah. Then outside of that, the film that's coming up, Aroma Vision. So
yeah, man, you're busy, and we're going to dive into a little bit of all of that this podcast. First thing I guess I wanted to start it with, where did your creative eye come from? How'd you get into filmmaking and photography? Like what kicked it off? Because it's different for every creative, you know what I mean?
Well, I say two different things. So for photography, that entirely comes from like my mom. She was a photographer. 90% of her photography was pictures of me. So I've always been around the camera.
You've been a muse.
Yeah, I've been a muse.
Because you modeled a lot too.
Well, yeah, I've actually modeled as well too.
You're on the back of a headphone case.
I'm on the back of the headphones case for Cost headphones. I'm also on their Amazon page and their website. So
right?
You see my face somewhere, it might be the headphones.
Yeah.
But yeah, my mom did photography for a while. And then I kind of picked it up after I got to high school. I started a clothing line, and I decided that I need pictures for the clothing. So I ended up getting a Canon T3i.
Nice.
So that kicked off
like the entry. That's the intro.
Yeah, that was the intro.
GOAT right there.
Yeah, but I've always been into filmmaking and special effects makeup throughout middle school. Just from stage crew and doing experiments with my friends and just being on YouTube heavy. Film Riot was a huge influence around that time too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Film Riot, man. They changed the world for us young photographers, videographers, people that didn't have access. Made it possible.
Yeah,
man.
the what is it, 30 Days of Blood or Bloodtober? Yeah.
Bro, you love the Halloween time of the year, huh?
Yeah, that's my time of the year. No, for real. Yeah. That's it.
That's awesome. And we recently just talked about this, but you just recently graduated film school.
Just graduated from UWM 2023 May. Feels great.
Nice.
Honestly, I've been there since 2017. It's been a long time.
Congratulations.
Took some time off, but I'm here. So.
And you're doing all these amazing things, and you just graduated school. That's impressive, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. It didn't really feel as much like I've been doing as much. I've just been sporadically okay, well, if I do this, then I do this. Of course, when you go to school, film school, you go into it with the thought that you're getting the full experience of what film production is. And that's not the case all the times. It depends on the school that you go to. And it also depends on you personally, the effort that you put in. But being that I went to UWM's film school, we're more so known for actually shooting on film and experimental filmmaking rather than traditional production that we see day to day, or that we all oh, we went to see a Marvel movie, I'm inspired. That's not what you're going to learn, when you go to film school. So I took a lot of time networking and just trying to figure out the business side of things and the correct way about going about it. Because it's one thing to make a project and you're coming out of school and your senior film is a thesis about you versus a thesis about a concept or, idea, something original, where you can really move a lot further when you come out of film school faster. So that was my entire intention.
So were any of your films like, like your senior project, exit project, or was it just extra?
So Lizardboy, when I first wrote it, I wrote it sophomore year, the first version of the script. So that might have been like maybe beginning 2018, like fall semester. And then I kind of didn't know what to do with it. It wasn't a full script. It was probably only 5 pages at that point. And I was like, okay, well, one thing for sure is like, I'm not looking to be a director right now at this point, and I'm not 100% looking to be a cinematographer. I already have my background in special effects makeup. I'm coming in, like this is my sophomore year. I need to do stuff that's going to get me more attention, and I need to be working with the professors or on the senior projects, just so I can get real experience. Because when you first come in, it's pretty much photography class essentially, and that's not what I'm here for. So for Lizardboy, I decided that I was going to push my special effects and makeup skills and do my first face sculpt, which is super hard. So for the first few months, I made like a plaster face cast in the bathroom in the dorms. And so I'm like, I have my RA watching me to make sure I'm okay, because I shouldn't be doing it number one alone. Someone should be helping me.
Yeah.
2, I shouldn't be putting plaster in the sink. So like, my RA was kind of like watching over it. But he sat through the process. He let me do it. I finished. It didn't work, but I got closer to what my idea was. And so that gave me another push to be like, okay, well, I could try again. What's the next step? And in between these steps, you learn that there are certain materials and certain like price ranges that you enter when in special effects when you want to do certain things. And I wanted to find there's a certain type of plaster, and Chicago carries it. Otherwise, you had to get it from Canada. And once I got it, I was like, this is my one shot. Like, I can do it. I can do it. Precious. But then I paused again, and I was like, well, I need to get more knowledge. I don't know what I'm doing. You can't just put that material on your skin or just play with it and just hope for the best. So I ended up going and pursuing The Hills Has Eyes here in Milwaukee, and that's how I became one of the makeup artists there.
I did not know that.
So I've been.
What year was that?
That was 27. That was 2018. Yeah, about around Halloween. So I jumped in last minute.
2016, I was doing content for The Hills Have Eyes.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's a wild connection there.
Yeah.
So we both got to go back and talk to them and be like,
absolutely,
we need to do some content for y'all. Yeah. Some bigger stuff, especially since they didn't upgrade it.
I got an idea. We'll chat after.
Yeah. Let's do that. But so I went to The Hills Has Eyes and started my makeup journey there. And I met a ton of artists there, like all different abilities. And I met somebody named Anna Thaney, and she runs Shade of Face Effects, who ended up becoming a makeup artist for Lizardboy. And she ended up working with me throughout the entire process of me sculpting this mask. And she sat with me through all of the trials, all of the failure, all of the broken pieces, resetting. And we made it to the point where I had a final sculpt, and I was ready to use this material and make this life cast. And we did it, and Lizardboy's history, and my special effects skills grew, and I also ended up jumping into the director spotlight.
Yeah.
So that kind of launched everything, honestly.
Right. So you have directors usually have some sort of background, like whenever I direct scenes, I always think of myself as like, I'm a cinematographer first, so I'm really on the image, so I have to work harder to focus on story, things like that. It looks like you were informed by like that creative process of making the masks, making the different things, the monsters. So then you're like, how do I make a story for the monster?
Right.
So tell me about that process, like getting more into directing, and how do you feel about being a director now after going through that?
Yeah. So I say I was 100% against it at first for Lizardboy. I was like, I'm just going to do the makeup. I'm going to find somebody to shoot it. I mean, I can honestly shoot it myself. Like, that was my perspective. Like, I just want the makeup. The point of this film is the monster. It's the makeup. That's it. And so after that, I went back to that initial script that I had, that 5 pages, And that 5 pages was based on my pet lizard that I had at the time. And so I shot this like proof of concept thing for our class project. And it was just like my lizard tank. And I was just like, okay, now what can I do with this? What can I do with this? And I'm just thinking and thinking and thinking. I'm like, titles, like lizard, I don't know. So I keep writing some more and some more. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do a story about three students who end up doing a sleepover in a abandoned mine town, and the town was wiped out by some mystical force, and we don't know what happened. So they go to the town and they start their sleepover, and one of them ends up getting infected, but nobody knows like what happened or how he got infected. And so the rest of the movie is the timeline of how the infection changes the main character into this lizard creature. And so on the first day we get it's just like vomiting and like the scales. And then the second day we're like ripping the skin up to see the under armor, so you can see the lizard humanoid forming under the skin. And then by the third day he's fully transformed. It's like, this is not him anymore. And I spun it and I was like, okay, well, let me amp it up a little bit, which was not the thing to do, especially for your first project. Keep it simple, shorten it down. If you're going to do a short film, under 10 pages would be best. Lizardboy was 26 pages. I don't know how I got to 26 pages from 5, but we got there. And then it became a challenge of, am I going to cut this down or am I going to actually try to film this?
Try to make it happen.
Right. And at that point, I was looking around for like grants, funding, seeing what I could do. I really didn't know anything still. I was still in school at this point. So I'm asking professors, I'm asking seniors, I'm asking
trying to help.
Guest lecturers that's coming in. I'm just trying to find an answer to anything, just whatever. Just somebody help me out. What's the next step? And then I realized like, technically no one's gonna help you to that next step. Like they might be able to give you the information, but you have to be the like driving force to get to that next step. And that next step for me was actually like getting the funding and locking in the location. Once I locked the location in, it was a little bit easier to like talk to other people to be like, hey, I'm doing this crazy ass sci-fi project. It's about lizard humanoids. You down? Like,
right.
I don't have much, So
it became a reality once you got the location.
Yeah, once I got the location, it was a reality, but it still wasn't necessarily guaranteed. People still pushed back. And I did sample filming, just like I wanted to test out one of the classrooms at UWM. And so I offered free photo shoots to anybody that would show up just to sit in for me while I test this out. Not one person showed up. And that was just me, one of my friends. That was it. So I shot that entire thing with just us two. And that was it. So I was just like, okay, cool. Now, what do you do to get people's attention? Like, I need some attention now. People need to know what's up. So then it became social media. It was social media. And then I had threw a Halloween party and used the Lizardboy sculpt as my Halloween costume. And I went as Dr. Connors from Spider-Man, as the lizard humanoid. And so I just wanted to get it more seen so people to understand that this is a lot more realistic. Like I can physically make this creature, like, and I can shoot it. I have equipment. I just need come on, just let's do it. Let's do it. And then the Bricko Forward Fund was announced. And that was my first time ever hearing about that. And they were doing emergency relief for filmmakers who might have started their projects and might have needed funding for either finishing their last few days of production, going into post-production, or rental equipment. And so I had one of my friends help me out and do their grant paperwork for that and fill it out. And we submitted it. And I was like, I don't know if it's going to happen, but we're going to be delusional. And we're just going to say it's happening. And we're filming this day. And so we locked in dates for Lizardboy. And I had just come off of some Christmas pictures and I had a little bit of money. I had just enough to get the first scene done.
Yeah.
And so we was like, okay, we're going to shoot it. And if this is all I got, this is all I got. And so the day of filming that morning, I was checking the email, checking the mailbox and everything like that. And I got an email back from the lady from the Bricko Forward thing. And she was like, congratulations, Lizardboy won. And I was like,
Dang.
what? That's crazy. And so they gave us about $1,500 for the grant. And that ended up finishing off the project, taking it out. And
Damn.
from there, Lizardboy was just a wrap. And I was just like, now what's next?
Yeah.
How do I get it seen? And so, and at that point, I had took a break from UWM. So I wasn't a student necessarily at that moment. But coming into that next semester, they did something called the Spooktober Showcase. And it was for all alumni and students currently at school, specifically showcasing Halloween spooky projects. And so I was like, I'm gonna just submit Lizardboy. Like, no one's seen it yet. Like, I'm gonna just submit it. And so I submitted it out, and then I waited. I didn't hear anything. And then she emailed back. And in the email, she was like, I just want to double check that you were a student here. And I was like, what? Like,
That's awesome.
That's crazy. And then I finally met her in person, and she was just like, Lizardboy was amazing. Like, the idea, like the actual drive to commit to doing something like that as a student is like insane. So for you to do that.
I think that's what I noticed about you. And, you know, I saw some of the social media stuff about it, and I finally got to watch the film recently, but I just not being afraid to do something so big, I think is at your age is like uncanny. You know what I mean? Like, most people are like, oh, I'm gonna do smaller projects. And you went in for, you know, a damn near 30-minute film out the gate.
Yes.
And
first short.
First short.
So
through that process, what was the biggest thing you learned as a director? You know, kind of your first film directing, first time out there. What was kind of your big takeaways there?
I think I learned a lot of crew management and just learning the different positions and the importance of them, and how you can have a rock star in like your key roles. And then being a student, you might have friends that can help you. And you can just, you know, your friends might not be the best people, but they can give that support to that rock star if they can come on to that project. And so as long as you can support the rock stars that's on your project and make sure that everybody is feeling good and the actors are on point, you're good. You know, just relax, because the magic's going to happen. The magic's already happening. You know, just being there, you know, making sure that production is going, you know, just reaching into your mind and be like, all of you around me, I need you to just stay with me for this one moment. Can you see this monster being real? Yes. All right, let's make some magic. That's all it is. I enjoyed it.
That's so dope, man. Like, it's building teams and building those processes around the team and letting the talented people do their thing is so key, because as a director, what it does is it alleviates all the extra stress, and you can just focus on story, right? And that ends up being like one of those things that, you know, you look back and you're like, man, things went so smooth. It's because you had trust in everybody there.
Right.
And everything just went the way, you know, obviously you have meetings and things before to get your concepts out of the way, but that's really cool that you learned that so early. 'Cause I'm sure you took that same process into the next two films afterwards.
Yeah.
Before we get to those other films, I want to ask you, so of all my feeds, your hustle of a photographer is like, I would say, one of the top that I see. You're always doing specials. You're always showing your amazing work. You're always providing value to what I would assume repeat customers and people that, you do amazing sets that you build for holidays and all these different things. Is that just another part of that creative process, similar to how you like to do your SFX? Is that kind of a similar kind of thing? Yeah. Building your sets in your studio?
I'm a real hands-on person. Like, I like to just to work with my hands, build stuff, and actually physically make it. And I'm also a huge fan of like visual effects stuff as well. So I'll bounce between like, you can make it in post. No, I'd much rather make it in person. Let's just physically build it. Like, it's everything. When you walk up to it and see it in person, it changes the experience versus imagining something being there. So that's the number one thing about it for me, for real. And then other than that, I think that I might have just sidetracked myself, honestly.
No, like, so then you take that set building idea and add it to your photography.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, so it's an awesome combination. You know, I see a lot of, there's a lot of people who do like holiday, pretty like standard, like kind of stuff. you kind of take it further. I see some wild, sets you build for photo shoots and just like be a little bit more fantasy in them and whatnot.
Yeah, with my photography sets though, that honestly came from just people fighting me on my normal base rates. And I got a lot of pushback here in the city, like with my rates for like, but it's also too like sometimes I'm catering to a younger crowd, and it's just stuff happens. So with the sets, my goal was always just to like stand out. And just looking around, just if you paid attention to any of the actual specials that like get posted around the city, people might post a special, but it's the same thing as every day else. So it's just a picture on the backdrop. There's nothing else different. There's nothing added to it. There's nothing special about it outside of the rate. And so I always was like, what can I do to make it like take it up another step? Even if that means that I might take a L in the beginning on like buying these things to make these sets, the fun that I have making them, just like chasing that idea, it doesn't even matter if I get the money back from the bookings. Like as long as I like set out to do my initial idea and I successfully do that, the bookings, they'll come. Like they'll eventually come. There'll be somebody there that appreciate the art that you created. And if they're not using it for photos, you never know. There's tons of use cases. Like people might want to do a podcast there. People might want to shoot a music video on it. Like you just never know.
And I think that's really cool because number one, you're standing out. You're showcasing your skill set, but now you're building, a whole community around these projects that you're doing. People are probably wait, when is he going to do next? Oh, right. I want to be a part of that. I want that. I want I really love the Valentine's Day where it was like everybody was in the clouds and all that stuff. Like all those different shoots. That's really dope. So then how did, your space, and shout your space out, how did that come about? And obviously you've been able to leverage that in a very positive way and help grow your business by having that space. How did that kind of turn out?
Well, so I've been in a studio space since 2018. My first space was in Lincoln Warehouse. We had a small spot downstairs, like right next door to North America Camera. And we started out there and we just was like, it was a lot of fun. And then during that time, I was real anti like studio, like actual studio lighting. So like, honestly, I would prefer to shoot outside. But since we live in Wisconsin, once that weather changes, you need somewhere to take some pictures at. So that's when the studio really became like a hub. And then I noticed that for bookings and just business, the photography in Milwaukee, people were moving more so into like the commercial look, but not 100% commercial. They just wanted the studio look, but still kind of keep it street a little bit. And so I kind of just moved into that market and I taught myself how to retouch a little bit. And once I was in that space, I kind of grew a lot faster. And then I kind of learned that like when you actually start using the lighting in the studio, honestly, you only need one. You don't need all the lights. But when you want to make the production look bigger, it's a part of the bigger experience for the client, you got to amp it up a little bit. So, I switched studios from my smaller one to the roof, pretty much the fourth floor of the Lincoln Warehouse, which was amazing until I realized how much sun comes through those old windows and it overpowers the strobe lights. And then you realize going up 4 flights of stairs, your models start to sweat, makeup starts to run. Then you have building issues. They can't fix AC and stuff like that. And so in 2020, around the pandemic, me and my guy AJ, we started the studio space back in 2018 together. We decided that we needed something bigger and we needed something that we could be like on our own ground floor. We want to be able to drive cars in. And I have been obsessed with cyc walls for so long and I needed to build one. And so I was working at Munson Inc. I was building tennis courts that summer. And there's one way that we're not supposed to drive trucks. And I ended up having to drive my truck that way for a random reason. And that's how I found our studio space.
Wow.
And I called him up and locked it in. So
that's awesome.
Here we are.
Man. Yeah, that's such a cool story. And just you're iterating on what the needs are in the market. what your goals are and making them happen. And at such a young age, that's just like incredible to even say that you have your own studio space.
Yeah, it's still crazy now to think about it.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think that I've had 3 spaces to
Yeah.
this point. It's like, wow, it doesn't feel like that.
That's
It's always felt like I've been in one
cool.
spot, and they just kept growing.
Yeah. Dang. So quickly, I want you to tell me a little bit about, you got to work on a project. I think a lot of people have seen the Bobby Portis commercials. You got to be on set, and you were doing BTS photography, or what kind of
So
stuff?
I did behind the scenes photos, and they wanted to do a recap video, which was interesting because when they approached me for it, it was specifically only for the photos.
Okay.
And then I'm not sure who else got attached to the project, but they were really raving about like, you guys need to be making behind the scenes content. The photos are one thing, but videos, let's do that.
Yeah.
And so once they were attached, I think it was a third company because it was Wisconsin DOT. There was an agency that I cannot mention that was a part of it. And then there was Tanner Monagle. And then there was one more person that was a part of it. And once they asked for the video stuff, the person who approached me for the project was like, can you do that?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I could do it. And then in my mind, I'm like, I got a 6D. I know those videos are going to look absolutely trash. I can't do that. Okay, I need to figure out what I'm going to shoot this on.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm going to just double it. I'm going to bring the Ursa Mini in one hand and the 6D in one hand. And I'm going to just shoot it like that. And I did it. And it was crazy. And I was running around like a crazy person that entire day. I did not get a chance really to sit down, do anything, but being attached to that was like, it was just so crazy to just be in a room, number one, and have people just recognize your talents there too. And even them mentioning Lizardboy was kind of like, how did you see it? Like, how did you guys see this film? So, but yeah, it was dope. I got to meet Bobby. He was super cool. He just feels like a normal Milwaukee person, like he's cool to talk to. He's super funny. And then they actually brought me back for another year, and I did it again this year.
That's
so
awesome.
it was super dope.
Yeah, man. Congrats on that. That's super cool. Super cool, man. Well, let's go into the next film that you have lined up. It's not out yet. It's on the way.
Yeah.
It's in post.
Yeah, post.
Yeah.
It's posted up. Something like that.
Posted up. Yeah. Burger Snap.
Yes, sir.
So Burger Snap, I got some like vibes from like, I don't know, like the Kenan and Kel movie from back in the day. Why can't I think of it?
Good Burger.
Good Burger. So I got the Good Burger vibes. I got also like, man, like, I don't know, it got really wild. And I think I knew what to expect from Lizardboy. And the opening, some of the opening stuff that I got to look at really gave me that vibe immediately. And I'm like, oh, snap, here we go. So tell us a little bit about that concept and what else you want to share with that project.
Okay, so Burger Snap was actually my thesis film. So that was my graduation project this May. I wrote that idea probably, I want to say that September going into my first semester of senior one. And I remember sitting down, I told my teacher, I looked at him. He made me sit in front of the class because this teacher, I've had him before. So like we were kind of cool. And so he was like, okay, Sean, go in front of the class and you're going to tell us what you're going to do for your senior. Like everybody went through and said their ideas. Yeah. Some people said they're going to do some documentaries. Some people said they're going to do some narratives. Some people said they were going to do some horror projects. And, the horror people piqued my interest. Yeah. So I was like, okay, let me think. What am I going to do? And so I had this idea. I was like, I want to do a movie about a college student who just got kicked out the dorms and he's looking for his first job and it's at a burger joint. Yeah. Okay, now how can we flip that on his head? Aliens invade. I don't know if you played Call of Duty, but there's a mission, I think it's called Escape from Burger Town, maybe. And they're in a burger joint and it's like waves of enemies coming in and you gotta fight them all. I
feel like I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of that stems from that. So the idea of waves of aliens will come to the burger joint on his first day of work. Yeah. Like he just started and he will have to like fend them off. Yeah. And so going into it, I just kept expanding and expanding it. And I was like, okay, well, maybe Burger Snap's a feature. And so I put the script down, didn't think about it. Fast forward back to that semester, and I was sitting in front of the class, and I was like, all right, everybody, I'm going to do a sci-fi comedy called Burger Snap, where this dude's going to get his first job at a burger joint, and on the first day of work, aliens are going to invade.
Yeah.
And my teacher immediately, he was like, no, Sean, no, you're not. And I was like, I'm doing it. I'm definitely doing it. I got the script right here. And I pulled it up and we went through the script. I showed him some of it. And he was like, how are you going to do this? I was like, if there's a will, there's a way. We're going to make it. We're going to make it happen. I don't know. We're going to make it happen. And so throughout that entire semester, he kind of walked us through the process of getting ready, getting the script ready, getting it prepped. And I'm coming off of Lizardboy. So like I've done a lot of this already.
Yeah.
And
So like script breakdown type stuff? Okay.
And so I've had all of this stuff kind of sitting. So like I come to class with something that I did over the summer, and I'm just like, here it is. This Burger Snap is ready. Like I know it's crazy to have the idea to do something like this, you know, and I'm saying in the script, there's a spot where a spaceship crashes. He's supposed to get out of a spaceship. How are we supposed to make this happen?
Yeah.
Like what? And so I just kept thinking about, I was like, think about your network, think about who you know, think about the access that you have had previously, and think about what you can do yourself, like what you can build. And so I'm like, okay, well, honestly, Lizardboy was a lot. And we only did one studio set for that. Like we really didn't do anything. And I was like, the budget for this is probably $15,000. I don't know. And then we got to the point in class where he was like, all right, everybody, let's pitch our budgets. What do you think it's going to cost to make this project? Because we had to make it. Once I signed the paper saying that I was doing the Burger Snap, there was no going back on the project for the final. So he was like, let's go through the budgets. And so we went through the budgets, and I kept saying, Burger Snap's probably going to be $10,000. I know that sounds crazy. I probably can do it. Maybe I can do it. And so throughout the semester, he's just like, Sean, where are you? Have you filmed anything? Are you doing anything? And then we get to winter break. It's like coming up on Thanksgiving. I probably don't have any locations locked. The senior film needs to be ready by next semester for screening. And filming, it should be done before winter break.
Yeah.
Honestly, filming should have been done in the summer, truly. But no. And so we went to break, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I need to lock a location down. And so I'm just reaching out, calling. And I'm talking to a family friend, and he has a restaurant up north. And he's like, yo, you could use the restaurant for the film if you want to do that. You know, we can work out a rate or whatever down the line. So I'm like, okay, bet. Okay, if I can get a location attached,
we're good. I
can attach somebody, you know, like I had Lizardboy. It was like, once I had that location, it was a lot easier to attach people. Mm-hmm. And so once the restaurant was locked down, I posted on Instagram, and I posted a casting flyer, and I was like, okay, I got one location locked down. I'm looking for actors. All right, anybody know anybody? And I posted it. And out of nowhere, John Klein slides up on my story. And that's the owner of MKE Production Rentals, if you guys don't know him. He slides up on my story, and he's like, yo, I love to attach myself to this project. Send me the script. And I was just like,
say what?
This is so random. Like,
yeah.
Okay, yeah, cool. And then I was like, I remember talking to John about a crazy ass idea like 7 months ago when they rented my studio for another film. And I was honestly talking about Lizardboy. I wasn't really like necessarily talking about a next project. And he mentioned it, and I was like, okay, well, I'll send you Burger Snap. And so I sent him the script, and he was like, yeah, I love it. I'm down 100%. He was like, when we starting? And I was like, that's crazy.
Now we got some momentum.
We there. And then, so I was like, okay, cool. So in my mind, I'm like, I got a DP. I'm cool. Like now I really just need to lock talent, and I need to lock a producer and an AD. And those are kind of like the people that I pull in first just to keep me grounded while I'm still working the process. And so once John was attached, it was kind of just like snowball effect from there. It was just like Anna was attached for makeup. And then my AD came on, Rosella, and she had already been attached to Lizardboy. She helped me out with that. And then I had another idea. I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to have time to do the makeup this time.
Yeah.
And it's so short notice on Anna. I'm not going to be able really to give her the time to really get everything done. So I'm like, now I need to kit bash. So I need to be on Etsy finding other artists that's making little pieces that I can take, convert, flip, or I can make something that complements it that's smaller. And so once I did that and I figured out the design for the main alien, it was just like, Burger Snap's ready, guys. And I went back to class and I was like, all right, this is everything I have.
This is right after break.
This is right after break. I'm like, this is everything I have. And I was just like, boom, here it is. Now I was like, script. Here's the mood board. Here is the pitch deck. Here is the actors list. Here's the budget. Here is the DP. Here's the equipment list. And then I played video clips of the location. And he was like, Sean, you just might do it. You just might do it. And then he was like, now what you gonna do about the crash site? And I was like, oh.
That's where my budget gonna go.
I missed that part.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay.
And you had your studio.
Yeah, I had my studio during this point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So at that point, we were getting close to Christmas. And every Christmas I do a Christmas set and I build a backdrop. And I was like, okay, this is my one shot. I'm projecting I can make at least 5,000. Maybe I can make 5,000. I can get enough to jumpstart the project. I can just get that first weekend filmed, and then I don't got to worry about the spaceship until second semester. That was my only goal. So I was like, okay, y'all, we got it. We could do it. And so I ended up pushing the Christmas shoots, and I was pushing it heavy. That was probably the most I've ever posted about my photography, like ever. And I ended up booking almost 160 something shoots that month. And I was like, Burger Snap is happening. We are about to make it happen. So we coming off of Christmas, we're done. We go into filming, we're set. And I'm like, okay, cool, we're good. We're gonna make it through. We're gonna make it through the first weekend of filming. We get up north, we're filming. My main actor misses his train to get here for the first day of filming. So I'm like, you need to get on the train. I don't care what time. You need to get on the next train. Stay at the train station. Like, get here.
Figure it out.
So he like, okay, I can get here. I can get there in 2 hours. So now I have to call everybody up north. We're near West Bend.
Okay.
And so I'm like, okay, everybody, he missed his train. So we are like back by 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I still have to drive back to Milwaukee and pick him up and get him up here to where we're filming. And so we do all of that. He finally gets here. We get all the way back up north. We're filming. And it's just like a dream come true. Everything is just like happening. It's falling into place. John brought out an Alexa Mini. That was not in my mood board for the year.
Yeah.
That was not. Like getting my second film shot on the Alexa Mini.
He came with the big.
That's insane.
Dang, that's awesome.
So I was just like, this is crazy. And I'm like, so.
I love the diffusion on it too.
Yeah, it was, the movie was beautiful. It shot beautifully, lit beautifully. He brought in his own team of people. I have never met none of them. And so this is my first time directing, not only the crew of people that I've worked with before and some new people, this is John's crew of people.
Yeah.
And they're coming from like the big productions. And they're 100% committed to the idea. You know, they're believing in what I'm saying. They're trusting the vision. And I just can't thank them more for that because it shows. It shows on the screen. It looks beautiful. But we're going to come to the downfall for Burger Snap.
All right, before we get there.
Okay, let's pause.
We're going to pause. Filmmaking, it never goes the way it's supposed to go.
Correct.
You have an idea, stuff hits the fan always.
Exactly.
So I think being a real deal filmmaker, it's not about when it's going good, it's how you adjust through the problems, make it work, and get things over the edge. So tell us about, everything was snowballing at this point. You were feeling good about yourself.
I was feeling good. We shooting on the Alexa Mini, like the monster's looking good. We here. And then it's time for the second weekend of filming. And I was just like, okay, all I need is like 3 scenes. with the lead actor, and he's wrapped. He's out. We're done. Spaceship is locked. I magically locked in a spaceship. It's being built. Am I seeing the spaceship right now? No. Am I trusting the process? 100%. And then my friend Kelly who's the art director for the film. She's helping build the sets in the studio. We're framing out what will be the spaceship set, what it would be. And so I'm like, okay, well, we'll take a break today. And next week, the main actor will be here. Like, he's the first one in. We only got a few scenes with him. It's done. It's whatever. It's cool. And so I'm home. Me and my brother, we just chilling. We just not doing nothing. And I get an email. And I open the email and I'm just like, who is this? Like, It's like titled Burger Snap. And I'm just like, who is this? I've never seen the email before. And I open it and it's the main actor's dad. And he's like, hey, so sorry to just be randomly message you. I didn't get access to my son's phone. Red flag. What do you mean you didn't get access to your son's phone? So he's still going, and he's like, the email, I'm still reading it. And then he's like, oh, he got into a bad accident last night, so he's not going to be able to make it to filming. So I'm like, what? That, like, is he good? Like, he's okay? Like, because you're saying I'm not getting access to my son's phone. You're not saying if he's okay or not. You're just saying he's in an accident. He can't make it to filming. So I'm trying to see what's up, what's going on. I'm not getting any responses from either person. And then 2 days pass and he texts me and he's like, oh yeah, I'm okay, but I'm still not gonna be able to make it to filming. I'm messed up. The doctor says I can't be like mobile or doing so-and-so for this amount of time. So I was like, okay, we'll push it. We'll push it back. Now, this is January. Senior film, I need to have a cut in by April.
Yeah.
So it's January and we're pushing it by 2 weeks. We're getting into February now. So I'm like, okay, what's going on? 2 weeks is here. Like, we at the time that the doctor's saying that we can move on the project. What's going on? We know we're only waiting on you. Like, everybody paused. Like, everything paused for you. So I'm like, okay, what's up? What's going on? And he's like, oh, the doctor said 1 more week. And so at that point, I'm like, okay, all right, I'll give that week. And so I'll give the week, and that gave me more time to work on the set builds in the studio. That week comes to an end. I text him. I'm like, all right, it's February. We need to lock in dates for March. Like, if I can film that first weekend of March, I can get a crazy ass cutout by April. I know I can do it. So he's like, okay, yeah, let's do it. Week before filming, he he texts me. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, I double booked myself. What? You've been attached to this project for how many months? You signed paperwork to this project. Like,
oh no.
What do you mean you double booked yourself? And what does that mean? Like, what does that mean? You telling me you double booked yourself? What's the follow-up? What's the next? So I'm like, okay, what's going on? What we doing? Like, you ready to film? Like, you mean you double booked? You told them that you were attached to this project? You told them that you was doing this? And then he was like, yeah, but they can't move their dates. They're a feature. And I was like, now, if anybody can move their dates, it's the ones with the budget. Like, they can make something happen. Yeah. I don't have anything. This is all of my dollars. This is all of this is my everything I put into this. You are the lead on this project. You stepped into this role and you were committed. You were ready. We made it through the first weekend. And a week before filming, you dropped. So he dropped. And so now I'm in a frenzy. I'm like, okay, now what am I going to do? How am I going to save this? Like, I have to cut a location. I had a fight scene that I missed that you needed to be in. Yeah. That's the main point of the film, was that big fight scene at the end. And now I'm missing my main actor, who the fight scene is about. Like, who is it? Who it's for? And so I'm just like, all right, we're killing him off. We're killing him off. We out of here. So we sacrificed him. I replaced him with one of the other supporting roles, which was switched to my guy, Jeremiah. Amazing actor. He took over and became the lead, and he
crushed it. Yeah,
he killed it. He really brought the film back. We made it. And man, it was a process, but being able to like make that switch so fast and like being able to stay on my feet. And plus, shout out to my support team around me for being able to keep me grounded, because I was on like 10 for a while with that. And I'm just like, well, the project's done. I don't, So, so huge shout out to my people around me that kept me grounded. And we walked that path. We got that second weekend done.
Yeah.
And then when we got to see that spaceship sitting on the set in the studio, everything just
felt right.
It all came together. That was it.
That's dope, man. That's dope. Well, quickly, you want to tell us around about time when you think that will?
I have no clue when Burger Snap will be out to the world to see. I have no clue. I'm really close to just clicking the post button. It is sitting unlisted. I can hit post at any moment. So
hey, everybody watch every single day, because you never know.
Stay tuned. Watch, click, just stay tuned. You never know. It might just drop.
For sure. All right, could you just give me a quick, whether it's the log line or just a quick pitch about Aroma Vision and your next project that's in pre-production, you guys are about to shoot, and just tell us a little bit about that.
We were working on Top Chef together. I met the writer Adam on Top Chef. And he showed me the idea, and I was like, no, that's crazy. TV. So, and he had this concept of bringing back like the old school sci-fi, like, what is the hotel stuff called? Twilight Zone.
Twilight Zone, yeah.
So Twilight Zone inspired type vibes mixed with Black Mirror. And so he had this idea of doing a TV that emitted smoke from it, but the smoke is whatever was on the show. So you could smell what you saw. And so the point of Aroma Vision was to be like, this company had the idea to help teach people how to cook, or whatever else you do with smelling stuff. I don't know. But specifically cooking, they thought that they could use a TV show as a front to sell this TV that emits a scent that you intake. Whatever happens to you after you smell this scent is up to them. But Aroma Vision was pitched as a Black Mirror episode initially to me. It was like, imagine that somebody came over and was like, bro, you can't cook. Let me plug my TV up.
Yeah.
And we're just going to watch the Cooking Network, and we're going to smell it and cook at the same time. Now you know if you're doing something right. If it don't smell like that, then clearly it's wrong.
Right.
So I was like, okay, that's interesting. Now, how can we turn this on its head and make it crazy? Now, that's my favorite point. So that's a twist that you guys got to wait for to see what we're going to do with Aroma Vision. But yeah, a TV that emits scents.
That is dope. Man. I'll just say this. I'm a huge fan of the things you're doing. It's really cool to see what, you're not afraid to make a leap and a jump and try something and be different. And I think that's what makes you stand out. And it's really cool to watch that. And I'm going to continue watching. I'm sure our watchers and listeners are going to tap into all the things you're doing as well. I just, number one, want to say thanks so much for coming on and chatting and just telling us about some of your processes through your projects. And it's just it's amazing to see what you're doing at your age and stuff like that. So
thank you, bro. It's crazy that you guys are doing this podcast. Like, this is insane, because the city needs it. And it's a lot of creatives here that have some amazing stories to be told. And there's some amazing ideas out here that are waiting to be discovered. So I'm glad you guys are, providing this platform. Thanks for having me, number one. Number two, insane how long I've known you two separately and together, which that is just so crazy. So it's a big full circle for me.
Absolutely.
I was a child when I met y'all.
Dude, you're crushing it right now. And I think it was big for us to do this, to try to connect the city in different ways. It's been a a pleasure to sit down and talk with people like you. And I'm excited for the next wave of folks coming through. And we just have so much in this city, you know.
Yeah.
And I just want to see everybody win. And I think that's the big motivation for this, and to highlight people that are doing their thing. So, like I said, thank you so much for coming on.
Appreciate you. What's next for y'all? What do I get some? I want some info. What's going on?
Oh, we'll talk after the show. We'll talk after the show.
Okay,
but
man.
could you tell everybody where to find you, all your stuff, all your locations?
Do I need to look at one of these? Which one?
Look at the middle one right there.
The middle one. All right. Appreciate y'all for checking us out and listening to me talk for a little bit. You can find me at Shun P Films on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, what else? Pinterest. You can find me anywhere pretty much. And Studio Space MKE is my studio. So yeah, check me out.
All right. So thank you so much for watching this episode of the Media Boat Podcast. So no matter if you're watching this, you're listening to it, please hit all the subscribe, the bells, the follows, all those things to help us get ranked. And if you can leave a comment on here, maybe tell us who else you'd like to see us have sit in this couch. We just thank you. Until next time, peace.
Peace.